Peace and welcome to the tribe. This is y'all priest, and today's show is on exposing the Jezebel spirit. Now, many of you may have or may haven't heard the story about Jezebel and King Ahab, but I'm gonna just condense it. The marriage between Queen Jezebel and Ahab was a political marriage. It was a marriage between the king of Israel and the Phoenicians to end war in the land. Now, Jezebel was known as what they would call a seducer, a lover of power. She never loved her husband. And Ahab was a weak man that did whatever he wanted, except when it came to Jezebel. He would allow her to do anything that she wanted and run over top of him. Now, King Ahab was, for lack of a better word, almost what you would call a simp, but he was extremely passive aggressive, and he let Jezebel do anything that she wanted. Now, what happened with her was she wanted to bring in the Phoenician gods into Israel, and when she started to, she begin to go to war with God's prophets. Much like nowadays, God's prophets are targeted by women that do carry the spirit of Jezebel, and in some cases, men who carry the spirit of Jezebel or Ahab. And I find this important because in Revelations 2:18 through 29 reads, "To the angel of the church in Thyatira, these are the words of the Son of God, whose eyes are like blazing fire, and whose feet are like burnished brass. I know your deeds, your love and faith, your service and perseverance, and that you are doing more than you did at first. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and into eating food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent for her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on the bed of suffering, and I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely. Unless they repent of her ways, I will strike her children dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches the hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds." Now, I'll leave that there as we dig in deeper into the spirit of Jezebel. Now, what is the spirit of Jezebel? The spirit of Jezebel is not just one spirit like Satan is. This is a type of evil in Satan's kingdom. There are only one devil, one Satan, but there are many spirits that would be considered a Jezebel type spirit, as they all have a particular type of personality and a specific way in which they look to operate. Now, some of the signs of the spirit of Jezebel are the evil personality traits of the spirit of Jezebel. the spider web analogy. There will be a charismatic type of energy on the host or as a host. Likes to attract sharp, intelligent, and attractive people when it can. It will always seek to be the center of attention. It will seek to infiltrate, attack, and undermine anything, especially God's prophets. It will, or she will, go after anyone in leadership or in a leadership position. Runs in tandem with a mocking spirit. She, or the spirit, especially hates prophets, prayer, and spiritual warfare. Will occasionally expose itself on a photo. Like if you ever take a picture of someone and you see a shadowy figure, sometimes you'll see these weird looking things. Not the eyes colored red, but you may see a shadowy figure in the background. And finally, the host usually will not know that they have this kind of spirit in them. Some other things is the spirit of Jezebel runs in packs. If you tell one thing, the entire community or the entire Jezebel stronghold will know. She's known for spreading lies, false gossip, and name smearing campaigns. She is known to stalk God's children or God's chosen people to finish the job she started in Israel as the Queen of Israel. She is also known to be highly sexual and will use her sexuality to gain power. Oftentimes in the Bible, in order to expand her quote unquote kingdom, even though it was her husband's, she would seduce other kings to get them to bend to her will. And finally, she always had a deep-seated hate towards God, Christ, and oftentimes she made false prophets to take the place of Yeshua's people. Now, she was known as the Queen of Phoenicia, and those are the ones who tampered with the Bible. The Phoenicians are the ones who tampered with the Bible. That's why I always tell you to go and get the older version than King James, because the Council of Nicaea, some Phoenicians were involved in the molding of the current canon of the Bible. Now, there's signs that you're dealing with her. First, she can operate in both men and women. She loves or causes or loves to cause control or loves to be overly in control, manipulative, and to dominate. And all these things are in the Bible: control, domination, lies, manipulation. Those are the core pieces of what the Bible constitutes as basic witchcraft. Of course, you have necromancy and things of that nature, calling up demons and things like that, which is beyond, which means you're fully gone into the dark side at that point. She loves to cause fear and then this discomfort or the thought of flight within her enemies. She's very good at casting intimidation on people, whether male or female. And oftentimes she will, if it's a male, she will pick and prod and probe and then play victim to tear down a man of God or even just a good man. She seduces and she provokes sexual immorality. I think I mentioned that. She oftentimes teaches false doctrine. And while at the same time, she will try to make God's prophets appear false. She loves leadership positions, a thirst for power, and will kill, rob, steal, kill, and destroy to get it. She thrives on weak leadership. Like, she looks for folks in a lower position that has the potential to be leaders, or is a leader but is weak and will prey on him, much like a black widow will prey on her male mate after mating. Is sort of the same concept. She oftentimes is non-repentant. What she does is what she does, and that's it. There is nothing wrong in anything that a person possessed by the spirit of the Jezebel, again, not necessarily a woman, but can be in men, and most men are primarily under the influence, because in order for the Jezebel spirit to thrive, she wants a simple, passive male that she can dominate, manipulate, and control. So, because a lot of men face this, especially in these times. So now we have to talk about defeating it, defeating the spirit, because we do not battle against flesh alone. And, you know, in my, I guess you could say, in my quote unquote recent spiritual warfare and battle, I dealt with this in the spiritual realm. I had to fight this in the physical realm. I had to fight this on the internet. And the spirit of Jezebel is relentless. In fact, all of Satan's demons, or those who are influenced by Satan or the demonic kingdom, are relentless when it comes to dominating and destroying good men or even good women. And the goal is to wear you down so you can't protect yourself from spiritual attacks, with the hope to overtake your soul, basically, if not to falsely put you in jail or to silence you, because power is what she loves. She's never loved, in the Bible, she never loved Ahab. She only loved what Ahab could provide for her. She never loved Ahab. Kind of like when you, and this is not all of them, but when you hear about an extremely older gentleman marrying a young woman, oftentimes in that scenario, or vice versa, in that scenario, they may call her a black widow, but oftentimes in that scenario, she's under the influence of Jezebel, because she understands that, or she believes that marriage is just a business transaction, and I'll do what's necessary to get it and then take it all. Now, defeating her is a hard task because she moves in shadows. She moves in packs. Yeah, if someone is influenced by the spirit of Jezebel, it actually creates a web between all these people. And as I stated before, if you talk to one, it'll get to all of them, or the spirit will bounce from one of them and then come and latch at you, come after you. And, you know, today's men and women are so conditioned to not realize what type of influences they may be under. And this is why the Bible has been attacked so much, because it does do a good job of explaining right and wrong and and how to discern such. Now they did water down on actual spiritual warfare, but there are numerous prayers to fight this spirit. But when it becomes a stronghold, as what I was facing, it is tedious. The spirit of Jezebel sent familiar spirits at me to monitor me, so its complete group could know my thoughts, could copy or mimic, as I said in some other traits, it mimic some of my teachings and give it to their friends and family, and is basically a master of the author of confusion. If you could picture a chessboard, and you have a white side, the white pieces, and the black pieces, or the light pieces and the dark pieces, is probably the best way to put it, because it represents the battle between good and evil. And the queen, the way that she is, she's able to do anything, and most women do have that ability to be multifaceted and so on and so forth. But some choose to use sex as a weapon. Some choose to use it as a way to either get what they want or to take out who they want. To get what they want. Even if they have to fake it the entire time and make it happen. So the first thing that you have to do is to be able to identify the spirit and understand the spirit is not alone. It's not alone. So you always have to keep the armor of Christ on. And trust me, when you're doing this spiritual warfare, these entities will hit you and hit you and hit you until that armor starts to come off. And that's why when it gets to that point, you really have to dig in deep and go into spiritual warfare. But we don't want it to go to the point where the whole armor of God comes off. And to keep the armor of God on you all the time is through consistent prayer. Otherwise, you will find yourself in what you will call a physical hell, where you are going to have to face all types of manner of people, and spiritual entities beyond this world that will give them a headshot. That will give them a that will kind of tip them off to what you're going to do, where you're going to be, so they can be there before you get there. And with the one goal of finding some way to get you in public, to get you to respond or to get you to react to gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of those things that they talk about. If you ever looked at targeted individuals, they talk about gaslighting and narcissistic abuse. This is part of what you would call satanic ritual abuse by satanic agents. It may not necessarily be the spirit of Jezebel. It may just be the spirit of greed, or the spirit of lust, or of jealousy, or of envy. Of envy. And the spirit of Jezebel is one of those spirits that houses all those things. So you must always keep the spirit of the armor of God on. And once you're able to discern it, you must stay away from it at all costs, unless you are, in a congregation. But you will not be exactly what you would call safe. This is the spirit of Jezebel is a higher ranking entity in the demonic kingdom, and she can preach. She can preach. You have to remember, these are fallen angels, and they all know God's word. And some of them will know it better than you. So, as long as you got the armor on, you kind of have to, through your prayers, you have to flush the spirit of Jezebel out, and you'll see it pop up here and there, but you have to flush the spirit of Jezebel out. You have to expose it. And if you are one that is that has that attachment to you, you have to reclaim your identity. Typically, if the spirit of Jezebel is attracted to you, it's because you have power, but you are weak. And she wants that power. And she will use you to get that power if she can. And if she can't, she will take you out to take that power. Now, Jezebel, she sacrificed 450 prophets to Baal and 400 prophets to her other god. So targeting Christians is her revenge for how her life ended. Is her revenge on God until the kingdom of darkness subdues the children of light. Now, knowing that, you must cut the spirit of Jezebel off completely. If the spirit of Jezebel is in someone you love, you have to isolate it and do intercessory prayer. Because oftentimes when you're praying or in spiritual warfare with the spirit of Jezebel, especially with someone you love, if they call another entity, another person that has that entity attachment to it, she will get charged up even more, or he will get charged up even more. So if you're ever going to, if it's someone like your wife, your mother, so on and so forth, and you need to perform an exorcism, you need to have her isolated from other people who are possessed by that energy, and do your best to guide them to stay away from those type of people or type of energies. Because when dealing with spirits, they can latch on to you just by walking by people. You don't have to have sex with them. Of course, having sex with them can a person that has these attachments can make it be able to dig deeper into your soul, because having the action of sex is actually connecting the souls. So having sex with someone who is possessed with that entity that's within her can attach to you and be and be able to monitor you with it. And it'll be hard to get off at that point. Then you have to go see a minister, a reverend, a pastor, and ask for an exorcism, spiritual cleansing, baptism, fasting, things of that nature, because at that point it becomes so ingrained in you and it tries to mesh with you. So you can't tell that it's there. And finally, and this is probably not even finally, read Psalms 91, Psalm 74, Psalm 64. These are known for fighting the spirit of Jezebel. For fighting the spirit of Jezebel. And of course, you have verses, Galatians 4:7, no longer a slave, because the spirit of Jezebel tries to bind you and keep you down, but God's child and heir. So Galatians 4:7, no longer a slave, but I am God's child and heir. Peter 2:9 through 10, I'm one of God's special possessions. I am protected by the Most High Yah. My soul, or my purpose, is seated with God in the heavenly realms. This is Ephesians 2:6. No new creation, no wicked creation. This is 2 Corinthians 5:17. And the list goes on of Bible phrases and seeds that God has sent to cast out and command this demon away. But it's always best to, one, remember you're not battling the flesh, you're battling an entity. But two, if you are with the spirit of Jezebel, don't try to attack it yourself, because it is stronger than most prophets. She's killed over 250 in the Bible. She killed over 450, my apologies. And 400 she sacrificed to two different gods. So almost 850 of God's prophets she destroyed. So she is extremely hated by God, and she extremely hates God's prophets and teachers, and will do anything to destroy, maim, discredit, wipe out, and silence God's true prophets. Or she will do anything to control and manipulate God's true prophets and have them run amok or run astray. Now, let me get back to the main screen. Now, the spirit of Jezebel is not something to be trifled with. She's just because it's a quote unquote feminine spirit doesn't make her a weak spirit. And most dark occultists, I'll use the word dark occultists because you understand the secrets of life, which means the occult, doesn't mean that you are a dark occultist. To be a dark occultist means you're playing with entities such as the spirit of Jezebel. You're worshiping that type of thing, and you are a God, children of the Most High God, and you are not supposed to put anything before the Most High God. Not even yourself before the Most High Yah. And this is something that we have to keep in mind. But anyway, this concludes this teaching. I hope that it resonates. I hope that it helps my brothers and sisters to identify this spirit and to keep it out of your life, and it's within you, than to kick it out of you, because these type of things feed off your soul. Like some of these folks will conjure and call these type of entities, and in order for that entity to be here, it will attach to that person's soul. So it's best not to even tamper with this type of stuff. Anyway, this closes this teaching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Shalom.